What do you think of when I say the words social justice? This is what I think of. I think of great leaders with passion and vigor, marching and gathering people with like-minded ideas to change our world, make it a better place for everyone. But it's also a historical moment. And when I talk to women, specifically younger women, they don't relate to the concepts of social change, social justice. They somehow feel alienated by that term, social justice. They just don't relate. I grew up in the home of civil rights activists, impassioned with a ferocious need to change the world that we were living in. They were educators, they were artists, they were activists. They passed that baton on to me, and they said, the next generation of civil rights activists need to be politicians. You must join the game. And so, at that point in my life, I believed them. And I went to Georgetown University, the epicenter of all things political. And I said, I am going to be a leader in the Black community. I am going to go to GU Law and become a politician. That is what I am born to do. So off I went. But when I got there, I realized I was hanging out more with the artists, the street performers, the actors, the dancers, the choreographers, taking really long trips to the Lower East Side in New York on the holiday weekends. And I realized that my calling was pulling me in a different direction. And I needed to listen to that. Even though my parents and the parents' friends, not too happy about it. But I needed to listen to that. That calling was important. And so off I went to Los Angeles. I had a secret, and I never told anybody this. I wanted to be a director because in the summer of 1989, Spike Lee made a film called Do the Right Thing, and that film changed my life forever. I saw the political and social ramifications that a narrative film could do, and I said, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. I want to go and make a film. I want to make a film that shows people what we need to do. Let's get active and let's get into things that we need to change. Whatever it is that I wanted to do, I kept it inside. I didn't tell anybody. And I lived in Los Angeles and pursued other dreams that I had. Actor, dancer, choreographer, writer, and I had an amazing time in Los Angeles as a single person. But when I decided to get married and have children, a lot of those paths that I was on narrowed, and some of them just stopped. When my eldest child was born, my aunt sent me the most beautiful quilted blanket. And you could see the textures and all the different handwork that went into that quilt. Every woman brought their square, and they quilted it from the love, from the passion, and from the creative expression that they needed to do. And I started thinking back to my grandmother and to my aunt sitting at that table and sewing those quilts. And sometimes they would drive from hundreds of miles away to make that quilt. And every woman brought their square. And sometimes you would look at it and be like, how is that gonna go with this? And how is, what, I remember thinking to myself, every single time, it was magical. It was beautiful. And the artistry and the community that they had, unbeatable. And I started thinking, where's my community? Where's my quilting bee? I want a quilting bee. Where is my people? I want that. I want to have that. I don't quilt, but I want to have that community. So everything changed for me in the fall of 2008. I'm sitting in my son's library. I'm early. And I decide to go through a magazine. It's the Southern Poverty Law Center magazine, something that lawyers look at. And I'm looking through it, and I come across this story, little tiny story, about a boy named Lawrence King. And this boy was shot at 8:15 in the morning, twice at the back of the head, for being, or perceived really, of being, for his sexual orientation and his perception of gender expression and gender identity at 15 years old by another student. And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, what? How did this happen in Oxnard, 45 minutes away from Los Angeles? And I don't know anything about it. I know nothing about this child. So we're killing kids in classrooms for perception of identity and sexual orientation, and I don't know about this? I'm outraged. I go home that night, and after the kids go to sleep, I go in my bedroom, I'm sitting there with my laptop, and I'm looking through every single article I can possibly find, and I am weeping. I am crying. It's 12 in the morning, it's 1 in the morning, it's 2 in the morning. I am up till 3 in the morning reading stories about this child, anything I can find. And it's not just the fact that this horrible hate crime has happened, it's the fact of the tone of the articles. These articles are homophobic, they're transphobic, they're racist, and they're one-dimensional. And I'm really getting pissed off. I'm getting enraged. I am impassioned to do something, to tell Larry's story, the truth of it, to get down and find out, why did this child die, and why don't we care? So the next day, I put my kids in the back of the car. I drop my 3.5-year-old off at preschool. I'm looking at my 15-month-old girl in the back. And I look at my camcorder in the front seat. And I say, we're going to Oxnard. And I drive up to Oxnard. I drive up to Oxnard, and I sit in that Ventura County courtroom, and I sit through the shooter's hearing. And I listen, and I say to myself, whoa, this is huge. And I fall out the defense team with my baby on my hip and my camcorder, and I start filming an interview with the defense team. And I'm like, I can do this, I got this. And I put my baby down, and she's sitting there watching, having some snacks, drinking her bottle, and I'm like, I am filming right now, and I am making a film. I am gonna make this film, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make this film about Larry. 4 years later, I have a film that I'm extremely proud of. But what I'm really, really so happy about is that I have this incredible network of women documentary filmmakers and artists and activists, and they're all impassioned to make that change, to change our world and create an amazing place for all of us, Larry, all of us, to feel a part of something. And what I realized as well is the social change is happening. That social justice, that phrase, is changed into social media. Our youth today and our filmmakers and our activists are online, on the internet, in social media. I invite you to bring your square to the Quilting Bee. Thank you.